I never thought the worst betrayal of my life would come from the two people I trusted most. But if I had known what my sister was secretly doing behind my back, I would have walked away long before everything exploded. Instead, I stood there on her wedding day, watching her marry the man who used to be my fiancé, while holding a secret that would ruin both of them forever. And when the truth finally came out, the entire room went silent. 3 years ago, my life looked perfect from the outside. I was 27, working as a graphic designer, living in a small but cozy apartment, and engaged to the man I thought I would spend the rest of my life with. His name was Daniel. Daniel was the type of guy everyone loved instantly. Charming, funny, confident, and the kind of person who could walk into a room full of strangers and leave with 10 new friends. My family adored him too, especially my younger sister Lily. Lily was always the golden child. Growing up, she got away with everything. If she broke something, it was somehow my fault. If she lied, my parents believed her anyway. But despite all that, I still loved her. She was my little sister after all. When Daniel proposed to me, Lily cried happy tears and hugged me like she meant it. "I'm so happy for you," she said. "Daniel is perfect for you." Looking back now, I wonder if she meant those words the way they sounded. Because about 6 months after our engagement, things started to change. At first it was small things. Daniel suddenly working late more often. Him being weirdly protective of his phone. Lily visiting our apartment way more than usual. Sometimes I'd come home from work and find her sitting on the couch talking to him like they'd been hanging out for hours. When I asked why she was there, she'd laugh it off. "Relax, I was just in the neighborhood." It felt a little strange, but I ignored it. She was my sister, and Daniel was my fiancé. Why would I ever suspect them? Then one night, everything cracked. I had gotten off work early and decided to surprise Daniel with dinner. When I unlocked the apartment door, the place was completely silent. But I heard voices in the bedroom. Daniel's voice and Lily's. I froze in the hallway. At first, I thought maybe they were just talking. Then I heard Lily laughing. Not her normal laugh. It was soft, flirty. And then I heard something that made my stomach drop. Daniel said quietly, "She'll never find out." My hands started shaking. I slowly walked toward the bedroom door. It was slightly open. And when I pushed it just a little, I saw them, half-dressed, in my bed. For a moment, my brain refused to process what I was seeing. It felt like my entire world had suddenly tilted sideways. Then Lily noticed me standing there, and instead of looking ashamed, she rolled her eyes. "Wow," she said, "you weren't supposed to be home yet." That was the moment something inside me broke. I started screaming. Daniel tried to explain, saying it was a mistake, that it just happened. But Lily didn't even try to hide it. She stood up, grabbed her clothes, and shrugged. "You're being dramatic," she said. "It's not like you're married yet." I threw Daniel's engagement ring at him and told both of them to get out. That night was the worst night of my life, but somehow, it wasn't the worst part of the story. Because when I told my parents what happened, they didn't react the way I expected. Instead of being angry at Lily, they told me I was overreacting. My mother literally said, maybe Daniel just realized he had stronger feelings for Lily. I remember staring at her like I didn't recognize her anymore. My father added, "You shouldn't ruin your relationship with your sister over a man." Over a man, like she hadn't slept with my fiancé. That was the moment I realized something painful. My parents had always chosen Lily over me. Always, and this time was no different. So I cut them all off. I blocked Lily, I blocked Daniel, and I moved to another city. The next year of my life was rough. I was heartbroken, angry, and honestly embarrassed. Losing a fiancé hurts. But losing your family at the same time? That's a whole different kind of pain. Therapy helped, my new job helped. But the biggest thing that helped was meeting someone new. His name was Marcus. Marcus was nothing like Daniel. He wasn't flashy or overly charming, but he was kind, calm, steady, the kind of person who made you feel safe. We met at a coffee shop where he worked part-time while finishing his law degree. At first we were just friends, but slowly, over time, that friendship turned into something deeper. For the first time since everything happened, I felt like I could breathe again. 2 years passed, 2 peaceful years without my toxic family. Then one day, I got a message from my mother, the first message in 2 years. It said, "Your sister is getting married. You should come." I almost laughed. Married? To who? But deep down, I already knew the answer. Daniel, I ignored the message. But then another one came. "Please, it would mean a lot to the family that chose my sister over me." Marcus told me something that surprised me. "You should go," he said. I looked at him like he was crazy. "Why would I do that?" He shrugged. Closure. At first, I thought he was wrong. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized something. He was right. So 2 weeks later, I went back to my hometown. The wedding was huge. Apparently, Daniel had done very well for himself. Expensive venue. Dozens of guests. Everyone pretending like nothing terrible had ever happened. When I walked into the reception hall, people started whispering. My parents looked shocked to see me. Lily looked annoyed, like my presence was inconvenient. But Daniel looked nervous. Very nervous. And that's when I remembered something I had discovered a year earlier. A secret, a very ugly one. You see, about a year after I left town, one of Daniel's former co-workers contacted me online. At first I thought it was a scam, but then he told me something interesting. Daniel hadn't just cheated on me with Lily, he had cheated on Lily too. Multiple times, with co-workers, with random women. Apparently he had a reputation for it. And the worst part? He had also been involved in some very shady financial activity at his company. Fraud, illegal deals, things that could easily destroy his career. The co-worker had sent me proof, emails, documents, screenshots. At the time, I didn't know what to do with that information. But now, standing at their wedding reception, I realized something. This was my moment. When the speeches started, Lily grabbed the microphone first. She gave a long speech about finding true love, about how sometimes life leads you to the right person. Even if it's messy, then Daniel spoke. He talked about destiny, about how he and Lily were meant to be together. I almost laughed out loud. Finally, my mother stood up. "And now," she said with a smile, "we'd love to hear from Lily's sister." The room turned toward me. I slowly stood up. My heart was pounding, but not from fear. From anticipation. I walked to the microphone. Lily crossed her arms, looking irritated. I took a deep breath. "Hi, everyone," I said. "Most of you probably know me as Lily's older sister. The one who used to be engaged to Daniel." The room instantly got quiet. I smiled. I wasn't planning on saying anything tonight, but since I was invited to speak, I thought I'd share a little story. Daniel's face had gone pale. I continued. 2 years ago, I walked in on my fiancé cheating on me with my own sister. Gasps spread across the room. My mother looked horrified, but I wasn't finished. At the time, I thought that was the worst betrayal possible. I paused, but it turns out, Daniel has a habit of cheating. Lily's face changed instantly. I pulled a small folder from my bag. These are emails, messages, and documents from Daniel's co-workers proving he's been cheating on Lily for the past 2 years. The room exploded into whispers. Lily grabbed Daniel's arm. "What is she talking about?" But I kept going. "Oh, and there's more." I held up another document. "This one shows evidence of financial fraud at Daniel's company." Daniel suddenly stood up. "Okay, that's enough." But it was too late. Everyone was staring, whispering, recording on their phones. I stepped away from the microphone. Then I looked directly at Lily. "Congratulations on the marriage," I said calmly. "Just remember, if he cheated with you, he'll cheat on you." Then I walked out. The last thing I heard before the doors closed behind me was Lily screaming at Daniel. Outside, Marcus was waiting in the car. When I got in, he looked at me and smiled. "Feel better?" I thought about it for a moment. Then I laughed. For the first time in years, I actually felt free. Sometimes karma doesn't come immediately, but when it does, it's absolutely perfect. When I walked out of that wedding reception, I thought the story was finally over. I thought I had said my piece, exposed the truth, and closed the door on the most painful chapter of my life. But I was wrong, because the moment those reception doors slammed behind me, the chaos inside had only just begun. And the fallout from that night ended up destroying far more than just their marriage. Marcus was sitting in the car outside the venue, scrolling through his phone when I got in. He looked up and studied my face carefully. "So," he said slowly, "how bad was it?" I leaned back in the seat and let out a long breath. "About as bad as you'd expect." He smirked. "That bad, huh? You could hear Lily screaming from inside when I left." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Well, that's one way to end a wedding." For the first time in years, I felt light. Not happy exactly, but relieved. Like a heavy weight I'd been carrying had finally been dropped. But about 10 minutes later, as we were driving away from the venue, my phone started blowing up. Texts, saw calls, notifications. Marcus glanced over. "Let me guess," he said. "Your family?" I nodded. And when I opened the messages, it was worse than I expected. My mother had sent 6 texts in a row. "What did you do? You embarrassed the entire family? How could you ruin your sister's wedding like that?" I stared at the screen in disbelief. Even now, even after everything, she still cared more about Lily's feelings than the truth. Marcus noticed my expression. "Let me see." I handed him the phone. He read the messages and shook his head. Unbelievable. Then another notification popped up. This time it was from Lily. The message was short. "If you're lying about Daniel, I swear I will destroy you." Marcus chuckled. That's confidence. I shrugged. I'm not lying. She'll figure that out soon enough. And she did. Just not the way I expected. The next morning, the entire situation exploded online. Someone at the wedding had recorded my speech. And of course, they posted it. The video spread through our hometown like wildfire. By noon, half the people I grew up with had seen it. Old classmates started messaging me. Co-workers from my old job, even distant relatives. Some were shocked. But the most interesting messages came from people who knew Daniel. Because once the video went public, a lot of people suddenly felt comfortable sharing their own experiences. Apparently, Daniel's cheating wasn't exactly a secret. Several women came forward claiming they had dated him while he was engaged to Lily. One even sent screenshots proving he had been messaging her the week before the wedding. Marcus looked over my shoulder as I scrolled through the messages. Wow, he said. Your sister really picked a winner. I laughed bitterly. Seems like she inherited exactly what she stole. But the real disaster hit 2 days later. I was sitting at home working when my phone rang. It was an unknown number. Normally I wouldn't answer, but something told me to pick up. Hello? For a few seconds, there was only breathing on the other end. Then I heard Lily's voice, and she sounded completely different. Not angry, not confident. She sounded broken. Are the documents real? I leaned back in my chair. Yes, silence. Then she whispered, He's been cheating on me the whole time? From what I was told, yes. Another long silence, then suddenly Lily started crying. Not fake crying, real ugly crying. I defended him, she said through tears. I defended him to everyone. I didn't know what to say, because part of me felt sorry for her, but another part of me remembered walking in on them in my bed. Finally, she spoke again. And the fraud thing? That's real too. She let out a shaky breath. He told me you made that up. Of course he did. Lily went quiet for a moment. Then she asked something I never expected. Did you know before the wedding? Yes. Why didn't you warn me? I stared at the wall for a moment before answering. Because 2 years ago, when I told you he was cheating, you didn't care. She didn't respond, I continued. You told me I was being dramatic, remember? More silence. Then the call ended, just like that, for about a week. I didn't hear anything else. No calls, no messages, nothing. I assumed Lily and Daniel were dealing with their disaster privately. But then one night, Marcus and I were watching TV when my phone buzzed again. This time it was my father. I almost ignored it. But curiosity got the better of me. Hello? His voice sounded tense. We need to talk. About what? Your sister. I sighed. What about her? There was a pause. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. She left Daniel. I blinked. That was fast. But my father didn't laugh. Instead, he said quietly, It's worse than that. I sat up. What do you mean? Another pause. Then he said, Daniel was arrested this morning. Marcus looked over immediately. What? Apparently, once Lily discovered the fraud documents were real, she panicked. And instead of keeping quiet, she took the evidence straight to the police. The investigation that followed uncovered something much bigger than anyone expected. Daniel hadn't just been involved in minor financial fraud. He had been part of a huge embezzlement scheme at his company. Millions of dollars out fake accounts, illegal transfers. The police raided his office that morning, and by the end of the day, Daniel was in custody. Marcus stared at me. Wow. My father continued speaking. And Lily? She's a mess. I wasn't surprised. But then he said something unexpected. She wants to talk to you? I laughed softly. Why? Because she says you were the only one who told the truth. That was a strange sentence coming from him. 2 years ago, they called me a liar. Now suddenly I was the honest one. I thought about it for a moment. Then I said, I'll think about it. A week later, I agreed to meet Lily. We met at a small cafe in our hometown. The moment I saw her, I barely recognized her. She looked exhausted. Her eyes were swollen from crying, and the confident, smug attitude she used to carry was completely gone. She sat down across from me slowly. For a while, neither of us spoke. Finally, she said, I ruined your life. I raised an eyebrow. That's one way to put it. She looked down at the table. I thought I had won, she admitted quietly. That sentence hit harder than I expected, because it confirmed something I had always suspected. She didn't fall in love with Daniel. She just wanted to take something from me. I thought stealing him meant I was better than you, she continued. But now, she laughed bitterly, now I realize I just stole your problem. For the first time in years, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then she looked up. I know you probably hate me. I don't hate you, I said honestly. I just don't trust you. She nodded slowly. That's fair. Then she said something that surprised me. I'm going to testify against Daniel. Marcus had warned me this might happen. Still, hearing it out loud felt strange. Why? I asked. She gave a small, tired smile. Because for the first time in my life, I want to do the right thing. 6 months later, Daniel was sentenced to prison. 5 years, fraud, embezzlement, and several related charges. Lily testified against him in court. The same man she stole from me ended up being the man who destroyed her life. As for my parents, things are still complicated. They've tried to reconnect, but trust takes time. Lily and I talk occasionally now. We're not close. Maybe we never will be again. But at least the lies are gone. And me? Well, my story has a much better ending. Last month, Marcus proposed. This time, there were no secrets. No betrayal, just honesty. And peace. Sometimes the worst betrayal in your life ends up clearing the path for something better. And if there's one thing this entire disaster taught me, it's that karma doesn't just catch up to people. Sometimes, it brings your happiness with it.